What's up, YouTubers? My name is Brennan. This is Super Nerd Hobbyist, and today I want to show you how you can make your very own quickball. So, like I've shown you in my other Pokeball videos, these are the collection of Pokeballs I have on file for my from Etsy that I bought. So we're going to be doing this quickball right here. We got our top, our bottom, and then we're going to be printing the button and hinge from here as well. So we'll see how long this takes. So this is going to take us about 3 hours and 52 minutes to make. It's going to print it just like this, and we're using Tree Sports. So, alright, let's get to making it. Now, since we're done printing them, the next step is to take off these supports. And usually I just use little pliers like this, or you can use small hook tools like this to kind of pry them off. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get ready for putting Bondo on. Let's get to it. Now, unfortunately, because I took off the sports too hard, I broke one of the loops where the hinge goes in right here on this bottom half of the Pokeball. So I'm gonna have to reprint this whole thing because I really can't put that back together like that and have it work. So we're just going to reprint this, take off the supports, and get ready to do Bondo. So, alright. Okay, so I reprinted the bottom part of this again, and I made sure not to break this back part where the hinge is. So now that that's all together, we got our fastball ready. So all we gotta do now is sand it down and then put some Bondo glazing putty on. You want to make sure when you're putting this on that you are wearing gloves to protect your hands. Make sure that you're wearing some sort of mask, especially some like this where it helps against chemicals. And then wear eye protection to protect your eyes so the dust doesn't fly in there, or this chemical does. And when we are going to sand this down, we're going to use 1200 grit sandpaper and 2000 grit sandpaper. And if you want to get down further into it and really dig in the circles and make sure they're flat, you can use like 220 grit or 180. You just got to remember, if you're going down to a lower grit, that you need to just barely sand it and not really dig into it, because otherwise you're gonna have a massive groove in it and you really don't need that. But you can see, like right here, I have this seam line that came out when I printed this. So I want to make sure that when I'm sanding this down, that's completely smooth and it doesn't show up at the end. So like I said, if you use like a 180 or 220 grit, just barely go over it and until that kind of disappears. So just be careful and take your time with it. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, since I'm done with that now, I covered most of the top so I can sand it down smooth when it's done. We're gonna wait for this to dry. It's gonna take about 30 minutes to an hour. So when we get back, we're gonna start sanding this and use that 1200 grit and 2000 grit sandpaper. And try to get it as smooth as possible to get rid of all those layer lines. So, okay, let's get to it. Okay, since we let this dry out now, we're ready to sand it. We're going to use three different types of sandpaper. We're going to use 600 grit to just touch it up and make sure to give it that smoother edge and get rid of all these nasty little bumps there. Try to dig in a little bit to give it that nice smooth edge. And then we're going to smooth it out real fine with 1200 grit and then 2000 grit. Then it'll be ready for painting. Let's get to it. And you want to make sure when you are sanding, because this Bondo stuff is still a very bad chemical to get into your system, you want to make sure that you're wearing at least a mask so you don't breathe it in. Because once you start sanding this will start producing a very fine dust that will just get everywhere and it'll get everywhere in your hands. So just make sure you are wearing your protection. Okay, let's get started. Now we're done. This looks really smooth and feels smooth. You want to make sure when you're sanding, especially a sphere like this, that you don't feel any bumps, and you just take your finger along and try to feel for stuff, because if you could tell when you put the light on something, it looks like there's little defects right there, but when you put your finger on it, it'll just slide right off. That tells you that it's smooth. So just double check. You want to try to make it as perfect as possible. And do the same thing on this side. I sanded this down really good, so I'm very confident it's going to come out really good. So now we're ready for painting. Let's get going. Now since we're ready for painting, since these colors of this Pokeball are bright, they're blue and yellow, we're just gonna primer this a white color. We're gonna use US Art Supply primer white, and do a couple coats of that on both sides and the button. And then we'll get to the colors after that. Let's get started. So, as you can see, some of these balls, this side of the ball looks a little different. What I did was, after I put primer on it, I noticed that there were some bumps and things sticking out. It wasn't completely flush, so I just resanded it and repainted it on there. There are bits and parts like that where it still looks messed up. It'll look better once I get done painting it. So we got all of our pieces: the top, the bottom, the button, and our little hinge. We'll put that off to the side. Now we're going to paint this blue and yellow. It's going to look something like this. And I'm going to be using this lemon yellow color and this fluorescent blue for the body. So you'll have yellow for the stripe right here and blue for the body. Same thing on this side. And then this button stays white, so we're just going to keep that to the side. And then later on we're going to paint the black part of that strip right there and on the inside. So do that after we're done airbrushing. So let's get this part done. Let's get to it. So before we get started, we need to use some blue painter's tape, and I'm going to cover up all of these stripe lines that we're going to paint yellow, so we can paint the body first and then the stripes later. Let's get to it. I realized that I needed to cover those brown spots up with white again, so I just went back over white and covered it with blue again. And I accidentally ripped the part of the Pokeball with the tape, so I had to go back over that with white again and paint it yellow all over again. So now, since I got all the airbrushing done, the next part is to do the little details, like paint the lines right here black, and then get the little areas like right here where it needs to be blue. So I'll just touch it up with some paint, and I'll be using the same paints I use for airbrushing, just the lemon yellow and the fluorescent blue. Then I'm going to use this black for all the outlines, and then also the line on the bottom right here and the inside of the Pokeball right there. And after that, we'll put it together and it should be good. Let's get going. Okay, since everything is done and painted, we need to put this together. So I'm gonna take some of this Gorilla Glue and put it on the back of this button and put it up here. I want to make sure that that hole right there is perfectly aligned at the bottom. That's because I'm going to put these magnets in there by also gluing it in there. That way when I close it, it will go in here and slam right down, and I'll have a magnet in here. That way when I close this, it will become a Pokeball. It'll stay shut. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that together, and then we have a little hinge piece. We're just going to put it in the back. Make sure that it all fits together. Okay, let's get to it.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
So finally I got done with this Pokeball. I did have to put glue in the back to kind of keep the hinge in there because I snapped it in half, so I just put it on both sides, pushed it as far as I could, and used glue to block it from moving or sliding out. So now it works. So I think it looks really, really good. So another Pokeball to the collection. Thank you guys for watching my video. Hopefully you really loved this content. I really enjoyed making this Pokeball. Please let me know down in the comments below if you want me to make more stuff like this. So please like, share, subscribe, and follow for more content. And thank you guys for following. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.